Recording in progress.
Robert, it seems like offensively, looking at the pass run split, you guys have really flipped it on its head the last few weeks from where you were earlier in the year. How much of that was by design, and how much of that is by the way the games have gone lately?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think more about the way the games have kind of ended up. We've especially the last 2 weeks, we've been fortunate to have a pretty good handle in the fourth quarter where we could really try to grind out in 4 minutes. Thought it was really good by our offense, especially in the fourth quarter. Yesterday, I think we had like 10 runs in a row or something like that. But it's more about the way the flow of the game went.
Robert, I'm guessing you've seen the tweet or heard about the tweet from Elijah Moore, not understanding why he's not more involved. What's your reaction? Did you talk to him? What can you say?
We've had conversation. He's fine. He's a competitive young man. He, like everybody, when you're a competitor like him, he wants to contribute. And sometimes we could think that our contributions are from production only, when your contributions can come from a variety of different things in terms of the way you show up to the building, the way you lead, the way you communicate with your teammates, the effort that you put on the field. There's a million ways to contribute to this football team, and he's a competitor, and all he wants to do is contribute. And so I've got no problem with Elijah. He's one of our high character individuals, love him to death, and eventually the production part of it that he's hoping for will come. It just he's just continue to work, so.
Robert, do you have to tell him, though, to kind of keep that stuff off social media? Do you have that conversation with the guys about, any little thing that goes out there can get blown up, as we've seen? Yeah,
it's social media. You'd love them all to be perfect. I'd love to be perfect. I'd love my family to be perfect. It's just, it's learning lessons for everyone. I don't think he's got any bad intentions. I don't think he's got a bad bone in his body, but but once you put it out there, it's out there. So,
Robert, when you guys were in San Francisco, you had specifically with that 2019 season, you had 3 guys that were consistently touching the ball on the ground. You had a number of guys, big name guys at receiver who were consistently involved. I mean, is there anything that you can dive back to there where you had a lot of mouths you wanted to feed and you were able to keep them all fed?
Yeah, there's always that. You'd love to have perfect days where everyone is getting the football and we're racking up 400 or 500 yards a game. But right now we're just trying to win football games by all means necessary. And we're over the last couple of weeks, we've done a really good job playing good complementary football. So I know Mike is always grinding. I don't know if there's a lot of guys that work a lot harder than he does in terms of trying to find ways to get everybody the football. But, and opportunities will come. I can count 8 guys off the top of my head right now where, they're all deserving of the football and they're all deserving of production when you look at it from a fantasy value standpoint. But I do know that those 8 people I think about also provided this football team in a way that can't be seen, can't be charted unless you're in the all 22, grading it from a coach's view, and all 8 of them do such a phenomenal job in their roles. And so they'll all get a piece, just got to continue grinding, keep the main thing, which is doing our best and finding ways to get better and contributing to the team in ways that we got control over.
Robert, I know it's just 6 games in here and, into your second year of the program, so to speak, but can you speak a little bit to what you're seeing here? Are you starting to see signs of that culture that you want to bring in and the confidence that you're trying to cultivate and whatnot with this group?
The one thing we talk about is our style of play. Our style of play is effort, technique, and violence. And those are the 3 things that we feel as players and coaches we've got control over. And the best way to visualize or show that is when the lights are off and it's one person watching tape. There's no sound, there's no announcer, there's no replay, there's no still shot. It's my eyes looking at your tape, and it's dark and it's quiet. What am I seeing? What are you telling me off your tape? And our style of play is everything. And those are the 3 things that we want jumping off the tape. We want to see the guys playing with great effort, playing with precision, and obviously playing with violence. And and there's more ways to play with violence and just hitting people and just violent in your movements, violence in your get off, whatever it might be. And I feel like when we especially the last 2 weeks, it feels like that part of our game is getting better and better, and still has a long way to go, but it's heading that direction. But again, it's credit back to the players. They're doing a great job handling the things they've got control over.
Robert, I think it was the Ravens game you were commenting after, and you said you felt like you guys had lost that game with some of the mistakes you made. Do you feel like you guys have done a much better job in that, maybe basically since fourth quarter in Pittsburgh, in terms of not committing those mistakes?
Yeah, it's the fourth quarter so far, knock on wood, has been very good for us over the last, in our 4 wins. You could argue one fourth quarter we were lucky. The Pittsburgh game, we just seized the opportunity there with 2 possessions at the end of the game to score back-to-back to take the lead. And then the last 2 games really seized the moment and just really kind of just shut the game down in the fourth quarter. So 3 different ways of attacking that fourth quarter. And but either way, the mindset to just stay with it, do right longer. It's a big thing that we say around here. Again, got that from Kyle back in San Francisco. But if we just do right longer, eventually we'll win a football game, or the other team will lose it. And I feel like we've been able to do that in the last couple of weeks, especially.
Is it positive for you too, Robert? That because you mentioned the other team will lose it. For a while you guys were the team that was losing it, and it seems like that's starting to get further and further from what you guys do.
Yeah, and again, 11 games left, right? So there's still a lot of football left, and there's still a lot of learning opportunities. Even in that in the game yesterday, there's a lot of things that happened in the fourth quarter that we could be better at. A lot of things that we could have been better at in Miami, and then same thing can be said about Pittsburgh. But yeah, it's traditional throughout football. You look at games around the league and you're like, God, how the heck did that team come back and win? And you go back and watch, and it's like, geez, look at the mistakes the other team made, and you could just see it. Very rarely do you kick the ball off and just go 60 straight minutes of absolute butt kicking. It's very rare in this league, but and that's why the saying goes, old Smashball, he talks about it every Friday. Games are lost, not won in this league. And so how do you avoid being the team that loses football games? And it's true. Tony Dungy, I was part of a team that had Tony Dungy speak to our team about 8 years ago, and he said the same thing. So it's no secret on the league. It's just how do you avoid losing football games? And I feel like you said, it's been good and still got to get better.
Robert, yesterday Will Parks was talking about how he saw something on when they were punting that he told to Brant Boyer, and then Brant Boyer, made an adjustment. How important is it to have like that open dialogue with your players too, where they're seeing something out there and then they're coming to the sideline and be like, hey, maybe we try this on the next play. And how positive is it that you have guys that are like, seeing things like that and able to communicate it to you?
Yeah, Will's a veteran, so he's seeing stuff, right? So you trust those veteran voices, and yeah, not that we don't trust the young guys either, but they're the ones that are having bullets shot at them. They're the ones in between the whites. They feel something. They're feeling something, and so the player intuition is always its strongest. It's no different than the revisit the Quinnen thing from Cincinnati. Like, he's feeling something. And when you got a guy who's got so much experience and he's so good and he's so demonstrative and convicted on what he's feeling, you give it to him. And as a coach, to be able to give it to him, just showing confidence in the player. And it's a team thing. It's not player, coach, player. We're all in this together. And so we'd be remiss if a player came up with a thought and we didn't at least give it a shot or think about it real hard.
Robert,
take a few more for Coach. A few more.
In wins, obviously, some of the stuff that you don't, do well, get glossed over, obviously, not to you guys because you're watching it on film and using it as corrections and stuff like that. But obviously the passing game yesterday wasn't where you wanted it to be. And what did you see in Zach yesterday? And was it about Zach? Was it more than that? What did you see there?
Green Bay's got a very talented back end. And I thought Joe Barry and his staff did a great job with regards to changing up what they had been showing throughout the week, and really from it just just knocked us off course just for a little bit before Mike was able to get us back on. Mike LaFleur and the entire group got back together and really made the adjustments we needed to make in the second half to get rolling. But either way, thought they did a great job. I thought the players did a great job adjusting along with the coaching staff. But I'd probably give more credit to Green Bay and the way they attacked it, especially in the first half. And but as far as Zach's concerned, there's always going to be things. We're always going to look at Zach. He's the quarterback. He's always going to be judged the hardest. He's going to be graded the hardest. And he's going to be the one that's under the microscope. And thought he did a really nice job with handling the second half. I think he completed his last 4 passes. He only needed to throw it 6 times, but each of them were really good, big throws that impacted the game in a positive way. So thought he did a really nice job. He did what he had to do. And when we have to when we have to go jump on his shoulder, I still think he'd be able to handle it.
It did seem on that one drive, when he had those couple of passes, the one to Corey and whatnot, that the passing game did seem to come alive a little bit there. And then after that, you had the block punt with the touchdown. Then you obviously shut down the passing game a little bit there. So maybe you kind of found something there on that series. And if you had to pass more, maybe it would have been better.
Yeah, we feel very confident that we would have been able to had we needed to. But like you said, we got to that 2-score lead. And it was getting deeper in the game, and our run game started clicking. And it's like, easiest thing to do in football is run the ball when you can. And so we just rolled the O-line.
Rob,
Last one here. Last one.
Robert, yesterday I know you had made a comment about it kind of took on wind there in Green Bay with the body blows remark in terms of kind of how you guys were able to pull out a victory over a pretty good team in Green Bay. Could you just expand on that a little bit more? I think it kind of got lost in the shuffle in terms of, everything else.
Yeah. It's for us, just going in from a game planning standpoint, you just have, you're going against a team that had a lot of travel. I mean, a lot of travel. Going to London and then coming back is not an easy task. And we felt like if we could just lean on them a little bit, that travel would start to show up. It is hard. It is hard to try to do all that stuff. But credit to them, they came out spirited and fought their absolute tails off. And we were fortunate in the fourth quarter to be able to get in a situation where we can continue doing what we were trying to get accomplished. But with the blocked punt and getting the 2-score lead and all that stuff. But so credit to them. I mean, it was an absolute dogfight in the first half and even going in the third quarter. But really, it was just more of a mindset to see if we could take advantage of all the travel that they had to have over the last couple of weeks. And, I was fortunate that it happened the way it did. So.
Just a real quick follow on that, Ryan, if it's okay. It's just you guys, obviously, I don't know if the relationship that you guys are building with the UK over there might have the Jets playing additional games in London, but seeing how Green Bay may or may not have struggled with playing a game right after going to London and not taking that bye week. I mean, does it maybe change the way you guys might think about that, where, the bye right after the London game's a little bit?
There's a lot of studying because last year we took the bye week. A lot of teams more often are starting to not take the bye week. And there's studies, there's analytical studies, there's a lot of performance data. Our performance team is gathering all the information on whether teams are struggling in the second half or like just trying to get information to see how we can prepare ourselves. And the league is gathering information. That's why we're having these options, because those London games, they're not going away. They're only going to expand. It's a great part of our league, and it's something that I think we all enjoy doing. But and so there's a lot of information still coming in, especially what the difference is between taking a bye and not taking the bye to continue playing, in terms of how to get our players to be able to play and continue on and stay as fresh as possible. So that's a good question. There's still a lot of information being gathered by the teams that are opting not to take the bye versus taking the bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes today's availability.
Recording.